Hi, and welcome to the Mexico Home Buying Course. I just wanted to take a few minutes to talk to you about how we got here, what's my why, and what you can expect in the course. So, we'll start with how we got here. A couple of years ago, my husband and I decided that we were going to buy a house in Mexico. And I thought to myself, oh, it'd be really nice to kind of chronicle the journey, see what we thought 2 years later and just kind of watch ourselves. So I recorded really for me. I didn't think I'd be sharing it with anyone else. And so it was very raw and honest because I was talking to myself. And then 6 months ago, um, through a series of unfortunate events, I had some fairly significant challenges, I would say, in my renovation process. I recognized that I had information that people needed to know. Information that I would have easily saved myself easily $50,000. Now, I don't think most people are going to come to Mexico and renovate, but I have to say that the renovation process really gave me insight into what to look for in the home buying process. And so just in renovating, I started to understand things like the sloping for the water and things that I just didn't think about at all when I first started looking for homes. Truth be told, I kind of did like HGTV. I went in, I thought, oh, this has good bones or this is really pretty. And I didn't dig deep. And that is a mistake. It's a mistake in part because there's very little uniformity and there doesn't exist things like an MLS system. Even inspections and permits don't necessarily consider things like efficiency. So it's just a really different system, and it's something I didn't understand. Had I understood, obviously I would have saved myself quite a bit of heartache and a lot of money. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to put this in a course. So I'm not a YouTuber or a video camera person with angles and all that other stuff. If you were expecting a hyper produced piece, then this is not for you. This is absolutely informational. I share my contracts. I share what you should look for in the contracts. I share how I found the home, how I was able to deal directly with the owner and negotiate. So it is a very informative, fact-based course designed to, quite honestly, save you time, money, and heartache. But if you're looking for hyper production, then this is not the place for you. So I want to talk about why buy Mexico at all, because maybe you're just thinking about it and you're saying to yourself, well, rent is so cheap, and so if rent is cheap, I could just rent for good. And then I also hear people say things like, well, I could just call the landlord if something goes wrong. So two things with that. The first is rent is cheap. Where I have been, I have watched rental prices go up 10 and in some cases 15% year over year. So they have gone up fairly drastically. And for me, having a home insulates me from those kind of increases. The second is I have, fortunately, because I renovated my home, I lived in various parts of the city and I had various landlords. I had some that were fantastic. I called, they set someone, things got done, first time, great. And then I had some that were not so fantastic. And I recognize that I am just not interested in that kind of Russian roulette. I need stability, I need steady, and I could recreate for myself that very thing. So I have people who I have their numbers. If something goes wrong in my home, I simply call them up to take care of it. So it's really no different. I mean, I shouldn't say it's no different. I'm basically my best landlord. So I understand when people say that renting feels and seems easier at first glance, but it will get costly over time. And very truth be told, I'm just someone who's a little weary of, I just keep paying and it's like it's not going anywhere. One of the things that has changed in Mexico very, very recently, is that you're now able to pull equity out of your home, which means that even if you're paying a mortgage, you're building equity in your space. So that, for me, was a bit of a game changer. There was a time when it was, well, if I have a problem, a challenge, etc., I have to sell the house. I personally don't believe in selling homes. So once they've changed the rules, and I shouldn't say rules, once they started offering different financial options, for me, that made buying in Mexico much more attractive. One of the things that I talk about in the course as well is your financing options. And actually, you have quite a few financing options. And again, that's something that's changed very recently. There was a time where people would say, well, you're going to get these kind of hard money lending rates, and you're going to get hard money lending time. And that has changed. It has changed to the point where you can actually purchase a home in Mexico through a U.S. mortgage. And that's not something that has always been the case. So purchasing is easier. It is more accessible than it has been in the past. And in some cases, for some people, the dollars are going to make sense. So I'm not trying to sell you though on buying. Truly, I'm not a real estate agent or anything like that. It's not for everyone. And again, that's why the course. So after you take the course and you see the entire process, you now have a very clear view of, is this for you? Do the numbers work? Does the math work? Is it in your best interests? The final thing I will leave you with that I say constantly throughout the course, take your time. There is no rush. This is a vast, vast country with lots of options. And rushing into a decision is probably the worst thing that you could do, because rushing is probably not going to lead to the best decision. It is really best to do your homework, take the course so you know what questions to ask, and make an investment that is right for you. And if after taking the course you realize, you know what, this is too much, there's more involved than I thought. I didn't realize that there were so many nuances to buying land. I didn't realize that maybe, getting the condo isn't maybe the best idea. Then that's okay too. And I've saved you thousands of dollars, right? So really the key here is do your homework, do your research, take notes, grab a notebook. If you decide you're ready to go ahead with the process, be armed with the information that you need to get the absolute best deal in the best possible location for you and your family. So thank you again for joining me, and I hope to see you on the other side.